Welcome back. I am excited about bringing my next guest on. He has been on the show with me before, and I have with me Luke Johnson, and he is the owner of Ledgend Capital Group. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Carol. Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, I want you to kind of talk a little bit about yourself and what you do, because it's a relationship-based business. It's very important that they hear that.
Yes, absolutely. So I originally grew up and spent my entire college life and getting into the business in northeastern Kansas. So I grew up on a small farm, went to the University of Kansas, and then started working as an intern at an investment firm in Kansas City before I even graduated college, and then began working with that firm a few months later. So worked with a large firm for 5 years, and then made the decision that it was time to do something a little bit different, do something with more independent thinking, that is, and be able to offer more to our clients.
And now you do something a little different, and I want to talk about that, because that's what something is. It is quite different about you and what you do. Will you explain to them kind of the things that you offer at your firm? Sure.
So Ledgend Capital Group is an independently registered investment advisory firm. So what that means is we have all the compliance and back office support and all the things that any big firm like the one I came from, which was a big Fortune 500 firm. But in addition to that, what we do is we create customized portfolios for clients that also involves alternative investments. So we do all of the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs, things like that. But we also have tremendous access to a number of firms in New York, LA, Dallas, all over the country that provide alternative investments for our clients. Examples would be large funds that are, say, $1 billion in size that our clients can invest in for smallish, affordable amounts, so we don't have to be coming to the table with, large amounts of money. So our clients can get into things, commercial real estate, debt funds, all sorts of things that pay mid single and upper single digit yields on an annual basis. So really nice dividends to our clients, and able to do that outside of the stock market, because nowadays, especially after what happened in 01 and 08 and 09, a lot of folks are a little bit nervous about the next quote-unquote crash or a downward trend of the market. So a lot of folks are coming to us saying, I know I need to own some of those traditional investments, but do you have access to anything else outside of the stock market? Most firms just statistically do not, and we have taken the steps to form those relationships, like I said, with many, many large firms out on the East Coast that provide really, really solid investment opportunities to our clients.
Now, your website is legendcapitalgroup.com. Are some of the examples of the different ones that you work with, or are they listed on there so people can see what they are? Because a lot of people are going to be interested, because, and how you put it was the next downfall. So I'm assuming that means that it's probably going to happen, more than likely. What goes up must come down anyway. But so do you have that listed there so that they can go up there and look at that?
Well, for compliance purposes, we're not allowed to list specific firms or specific funds.
So do you consult with them? Do you do
Absolutely.
A complimentary?
So the way we would do it is we simply list that we have access to, dozens of alternative investments on our website. But each client is different. So our goal is to intimately understand the client, their needs, what they're trying to accomplish, their time horizon, all of those important things. And then and only then do we feel comfortable customizing a portfolio for them. And a lot of our clients feel very good about owning stocks, bonds, mutual funds. That's how they've invested for 30, 40 years. For example, I have a client who just came aboard a couple months ago. He's from the Midwest, now he lives here, and retired gentleman, him and his wife, and they have only invested in specifically mutual funds for 30, I think 7 or 8 consecutive years. Nothing else, ever, never, ever. So Now his portfolio looks a lot different with us. We think it's much broader, safer. He owns more asset classes. He owns some stocks. He owns 4 alternative investments. So it's very customized to the client, though. Our next client might own none of the alternatives that we may recommend, and other clients own a larger percentage of those. But again, it really just depends on the client. So we don't speak about any specifics on the website based on the rules and regulations we're under, but we have access to roughly 6 alternative investments.
For the people that are listening to this now thinking, wow, I'd be interested in looking into that. And they might already be working with somebody. Do you do second opinions?
Yes, that's a great question. So a lot of our clients have come from referral. Most of them have, actually. And a lot of them actually that we get referred to already have an advisor, or maybe they're working with their CPA, or maybe, like the client I just mentioned, have done it on their own for a few years to many years. So we strive to simply, come in with a customized portfolio after learning, about each and every client. And offering a second opinion, I think it'll provide comfort, because lots of times we analyze someone's investments, life insurance positions, et cetera, and we may say, you know what? I did this just the other day, actually. I told a client, don't move any of your life insurance policies. Don't sell any of those stocks, but here's where we can help you. And then a lot of times we give a second opinion that simply says, stay put, you own high-quality investments. But as you mentioned, it's a very relationship-oriented business. So for us, it's all about being comfortable with the client and them feeling very comfortable with us. And another way that we really strive to create that comfort is through an ongoing relationship where we really bring a high level of service to the client. Because the last thing I'd want to have, if I was on the other side of the table, would be the experience of doing business and then 6 months later wondering where your advisor is. And that's, unfortunately, happens a fair amount. At least that's what our new clients tell us. Yeah, mm-hmm. So we just really look to take great care of our clients that trust us with their hard-earned money.
Your website is legendcapitalgroup.com. Your phone number is 480-685-2930. You're nationwide. I want to talk about that.
We are. We're fortunate enough today to work with clients in, I think, 20 or 21 states. And all of those clients have come from referral, maybe other than 2 or 3. And that's a real privilege and honor. I mean, we feel like it's just such a great opportunity to be able to get referred to our existing clients, friends, families, colleagues, etc. And they're all over the place. So we have clients literally from New York and Connecticut all the way down to Florida and all the way over to LA and up to Seattle, if that covers it. But we do have clients all over the country, and we're able to work with them. And I make it a point to travel and see those folks in person each and every year.
You were also featured as top advisor in AZ Business Magazine last year as one of the top 12 investment advisors in the state. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well, that's awesome. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to a break soon, and then when we come back, I want to talk about some of the other things that you can do with them and how you are different. Just before we go to a break, is there something that you'd want to tell them out there before we do that?
Well, I think a lot of folks always would feel, you just hit on it, more comfortable with having a second opinion. So, we always say, hey, that's a good idea. We understand folks may have relationships that have existed for years with an advisor, and we're not looking to step on anyone's toes. But if you've ever wanted to have a second opinion or had questions regarding your existing portfolio, we'd welcome the opportunity to have a conversation.
His phone number is 480-685-2930. He'll do a second opinion for you. He does complimentary consultations with people. The website, again, is legendcapitalgroup.com, and it is all about having that relationship with somebody and talking to them. But I like the idea that you have different opportunities for people, and you make it affordable for them to do it. Again, that's where, and because people hear this, these big dollars, but they know that they can do it affordably through you. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further with Luke. Again, he can help anyone nationwide. His phone number is 480-685-2930. That website is legendcapitalgroup.com.
If I traded it all, if I gave it all.
So welcome back. We're talking with Luke Johnson, and he's the president of Ledgend Capital Group. And we were talking a little bit about you and what makes you different. You're nationwide. You actually go and visit them even out of state, correct? Your clients?
That's correct. Yep. I've been to New York, Florida, D.C., Georgia, all these places in the last 12 months. Yeah.
So how do you uniquely then, by this way, how do you uniquely serve your clients, which is what you said?
We really think it's threefold. So number one, service. Really take great care of our clients. So after understanding them very well and getting through the recommendations and having the client then have their portfolio allocated according to how we see fit and, of course, they're comfortable with, then we continue to work with them very, very closely. So it's phone calls, it's emails, it's touching base, monthly, every couple months, right out of the gate. We'll talk to clients, even sometimes every couple weeks, just as we get going, because we know the statements are showing up. They're getting mail from companies they weren't used to seeing, and just want them to feel very, very comfortable. So service is number one. Access to those private equity, alternative funds, hedge fund strategies, all these things that the retail investor, up until recently, a few years ago, never had access to, unless you had many, many millions of dollars. So that limits that, right, for most folks. So alternative investments and access to those is number two. And then number three, we feel like it's very unique that we think very independently and objectively. So versus, for example, we don't have any model cookie cutter portfolios. So no one gets 60% equities and 40% bonds. Okay, that might be a starting point, but then we go much deeper than that and customize the portfolio beyond that, oftentimes including some alternative investments. But again, it's got to match up with the comfort of the client. So those three.
Now, when you work with someone, you say you do a complimentary consultation. Do you go to them here in the Valley as well? Or do you do that over the phone? How's it work?
Yeah, how's it work? We have 95% of our meetings with clients that live in Phoenix, Scottsdale, or the surrounding area in our office. It makes it easier to have all of the things that we would potentially need to talk about, have access to that in our office, just like you would go see your attorney or doctor in his office. So all of our clients here locally, except just a few, would come into our office. And then, with technology, whether it's phone calls and emails and all of the above, we do that as well.
For anyone that had not heard it, I want you to be able to say it again, to repeat how the different types of investments that you can do, not the actual ones, but also that how it can be done affordably for them. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, we do have access to dozens and dozens of today what are called alternative investments. And that can mean a lot of things. That could mean commercial real estate, residential real estate, loan portfolios, auto dealerships. I mean, you can, apartment buildings, you can invest in a lot of things, but doing that inside a large fund creates safety to a large degree because the firms that are doing this are out there buying dozens and dozens of assets. So it's very broadly diversified. So we have access to those alternative investments and a lot of them. And what we do, though, beyond that is my partners and I visit the firms, get to know their partners, literally the president, the CEO, the chief operating officers, etc., to make sure that we feel comfortable with the firm and the fund that they have offered us, to use with our clients. So we have access to all of those, but we usually narrow it down to our top 3 or 4 or 5 alternative investments. Some are categorized as private equity, others are hedge funds. For today's conversation, that's not as important as understanding that what's really, really important is making sure that our clients are in funds that are suitable for them. And my partners and I have our money in almost every one of the funds we've ever recommended to the client. It's because we believe in them.
Again, his phone number is 480-685-2930. He does do second opinions. It's, I think, important for people to do these things nowadays. The website is legendcapitalgroup.com, and he will do a complimentary consultation for you as well, nationwide. And his phone number, again, is 480-685-2930. So what areas of investment planning, then, do you specialize in yourself?
Well, fortunately for our clients, we have access to a lot of really, really smart analysts and portfolio managers, et cetera. So we rely on them to do a lot of the research. Once we get that back, we do our own research, analysis, et cetera. And what I'm focusing on for clients, I think most importantly, is asset allocation. So we specialize in making sure that clients are very, very well allocated and broadly allocated. In other words, not 50% of their money in one spot, right? One sector, one asset class. God forbid one stock or one mutual fund, right? So we want to make sure that the client is very broad, and then we do specialize in those alternative investments and positioning those within a portfolio to help reduce risk and increase that yield, or that, in other words, that monthly income or quarterly income that is being produced, in other words, dividends, from these investments.
Again, that phone number is 480-685-2930. The website is legendcapitalgroup.com. Well, when you listen to all of this, you're wondering, do you have to have a lot of money to work with you? Do you?
Well, that's a great question, because we have a vast array of clients. We have the older clientele that are retired or well into retirement. They might be, I shouldn't have said older, right? They might be 60, 65 years old up to, who knows, believe it or not, I had a meeting with a client of mine who's 90 years old today. Lona Bess, if she's listening, I told her I'd say hi. Lona's 90 years old, and we've worked with her for 5 years. And then we do also work with a lot of young families. We have a young family. My wife is 9.5 months pregnant. Hi, honey, if you're listening. But we work with a lot of young families that have, young children, and they're very, very busy. I understand that. And so, to answer your question, we don't have any minimums. We want to work, though, seriously, we want to work with responsible folks that really appreciate our guidance that we're providing, appreciate our expertise. We know everyone is going to make that decision on their own if they want to work with us or not. So we just try to put ourselves in their shoes and take care of them the way we would want to be taken care of.
And he works nationwide. He will come to you out there and visit you there. Here, you can go to his office. You're located in Scottsdale.
We are, right in the center of Scottsdale, on Scottsdale Road.
Okay, and the website is legendcapitalgroup.com. A phone number is 480-685-2930. I want to know, and I can tell this, why do you love what you do?
Well, we just are very passionate about helping folks with their hard-earned money. And, there's obviously a lot of professionals in a lot of different industries out there where it's very relationship-oriented. I just can't imagine, well, I try to imagine, right? If I'm that person on the other side of the table and I have my entire nest egg and turn that over to someone, how I would want to be treated. So we just really, really focus on taking excellent care of those folks, and we're very passionate about it, and we see it as a privilege.
You also work with the community. You are involved with the community. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Like a lot of
in
folks.
Giving back?
Yes, that's very important to my wife and I. So a few charities we're involved in. Those are very, very important to us. We just think that's important to give back. So a percentage of our firm's revenues goes back to charity. And, Maggie's Place, St. Vincent de Paul, Crisis Nursery, our church, just to name a few. We try to do what we can, and we think that's just very, very important. Obviously, in a big city such as this, a lot of folks in need.
That's a wonderful thing. So and I want to get out again for anyone that didn't hear that he was featured as a top advisor in AZ Business Magazine last year as one of the top 12 investment advisors in the state. You can call him. He does do second opinions for anyone that might already work with someone. Complimentary consultations, works nationwide. His number is 480-685-2930. The website is legendcapitalgroup.com. What's your final words for today?
Well, we love what we do. We think we add tremendous value to our clients. And so if whether you're looking to just get started or maybe need a second opinion or want one, feel free to reach out to us at our offices.
Again, that phone number is 480-685-2930. He does complimentary consultations. The website is legendcapitalgroup.com. Second opinion, and again, I stress this is something different. People should learn a little bit about what it is that he can do, and the only way you can do that is by talking to him. The phone number is 480-685-2930.